I'm Connor Old, and welcome to the fourth episode of Masters of Controlled Chaos. Today we're going to be looking at, some people would argue, the best director of all time. Definitely the most influential, I think, or one of the most influential, and definitely the most recognized. No one can dispute that. That'll be Steven Spielberg. As you can tell, I'm wearing a very simple outfit today because that's when I think of Steven Spielberg. That's what I think of. Simple, mainstream in a sense, but always entertaining, always solid. So consistently solid for the most part, but simple. Really, that's what I found with Steven Spielberg. Last episode, we talked about Wes Anderson, and I said, like, some people may like him, but I know a lot of people don't. And he's divisive sometimes in terms of, because he is sort of weird and quirky. But from Spielberg, I think almost everybody likes Spielberg. I would easily show anybody a Spielberg movie than I'd show them a Wes Anderson movie. You know, just because you can guarantee that that person will like that Spielberg movie because, and like I said, it's a mainstream movie, but also those movies have to exist. I know a lot of people, especially like film people, are like, oh, Kubrick and Hitchcock, and they did all those amazing things, but they sort of leave Spielberg to the side, and that's not necessarily right because even though he's not making these amazing risk-taking masterpiece sort of movies, I think he's actually made a couple masterpieces, truth be told, just not the masterpieces in terms of groundbreaking and innovative and so new, but just really solid movies that the world hasn't seen before. So he started off in 1975 with Jaws. Crane was first to be known as the blockbuster. Star Wars came later, and that sort of helped define it. But he definitely was known as like, okay, you're making a blockbuster, a summer blockbuster. Normally movies didn't come out in the summer because kids aren't in school, so they are playing outside or doing whatever. They're not going to watch movies. He changed that in the 70s, and really he's a studio director for me. He doesn't do any indie stuff. He needs that big budget. He can get any actor he wants, and by now he can because he's Steven Spielberg. And really, I say like simple and solid is because his movies from start to finish are pretty much clean cut. There's not a lot of fat in terms of extra minutes that could be taken out. There's not a lot of risk taking though. It is very simple, but it's solid, and I think it's especially technically sound. Like other directors, he also has some collaborators, not necessarily in terms of the people in front of the characters, the actors, although he's done recently some stuff with Tom Hanks, or over his career he's actually done some stuff with Tom Hanks and Richard Dreyfuss. But I think in more collaborators behind the scenes, guys like John Williams, he really is, I think, a great director because the four directors that we looked at before were all writer-directors. Even the Coen brothers, they edited their own movies. They did everything. Or not everything, but they wrote it, they directed it, they edited it. They were really very much hands-on. With Steven Spielberg, a lot of times, he has written stuff, but he doesn't always write his stuff. He's not a writer-director. He's very much a director. And he does what good directors do. Someone like Denis Villeneuve. I know a lot, he's the Hawkeye, right? Sort of new director that's out, and I love him. We will be doing an episode of him. Definitely for sure, but I want to see maybe when Blade Runner comes out, we'll do an episode. But frankly, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Spielberg. So he works with guys behind the scenes, and that's what I think great directors do. Is that they don't have to be like this incredible visionaries, but they're directing it, they're managing. They have a great sense of how the movie's going to turn out. They can communicate very easily. I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people like Shia LaBeouf say he's not really an artist. He's sort of just another studio head working there. But I'm not sure. I don't know the guy, but I would disagree in terms of I think he makes some interesting artistic choices. And really, I think that means he just has a really good grasp over the thing. There's not a lot of questions to ask him per se. If there is a question, he knows what the answer is to it. Aside from directing and that success there, he's also done a lot of producing with Kathleen Kennedy on the Star Wars movies and a lot of big franchises, which has got him to be, I think, like his net worth's like $3 billion or $2 billion or something like that. It's pretty high because he is so recognizable and his movies make a lot of money because he is a blockbuster king. Really, when he is the main guy, and that's why a lot of people consider him the greatest director of all time because he's not this risk-taking sort of guy, and you can sort of split his movies to two, and he's had duds, but he's been consistent for over 40 years, and that's something I think is super key for a lot of people, is his consistency over his 40 years. Consistency, what really happens is, a lot of people, even like some of his peers are coming out in the 70s, George Lucas, falling off the map completely. People don't like him now because of the Star Wars prequels, but they still sort of respect him. Even Brian De Palma doesn't exist anymore. There was Scorsese and Coppola. He made these four amazing movies with The Conversation, Godfather 1 and 2, and Apocalypse Now, and then sort of just fell off the map. But Spielberg and Scorsese for that reason, which I think we'll be doing next week. Stay tuned for that. But he's sort of consistently made for 40 years, and that's incredibly hard. You could say it's because he takes safe choices and never necessarily risky or really putting his heart out there. But he's smart in that way. I think he's an incredibly smart man in terms of he knows how to make movies. He just does. And he's doing it for so long, and he's been consistent for so long. And even in sports or anything you hear about, consistency is incredibly important, and he really does that. Let me just take up notes. And so yeah, like I was going back into splitting his movies into two. So first you have his beginning, so movies like Jaws, like E.T., like Jurassic Park, like even Raiders of the Lost Ark. These are blockbusters that generally get turned into series. You know, Jaws had Jaws 2 and Jurassic Park 2 and 3, and now Jurassic World. And E.T. I was supposed to, but it didn't, thank God. I don't think that would have been good because the Jurassic Park sequels weren't good. But the Indiana Jones sequels were really good. So I just think that he's not an indie guy, of course. He works with the big name directors, the big name movie stars. He's a movie star director, if you can consider that. You could even consider him a movie star. But then you have those blockbusters, fun for the whole family, sort of 4 quadrant movies, which we'll be talking about a little later for what that means in Jurassic Park. And then he also has later in his career made historical bets, so things like Schindler's List and Munich and Lincoln and Saving Private Ryan. These sort of based on true stories, historical period pieces going back to World War II or the Cold War in case of Bridge of Spies, and really just looking at that and looking at real people. And a much more serious movie, you wouldn't take your kid to E.T., but you wouldn't take your kid to Saving Private Ryan, of course. And that was rated R because he really wanted to show that intensity of war, which is Saving Private Ryan, one of my favorites, not my favorite, probably my second pick, if I didn't have as much nostalgia for my favorite pick, which I'll be talking about a little later. But I think he has sort of those two different sides, but he goes back and forth, like things like Hook in 2003, maybe that's wrong. But then like the BFG earlier, Adventures of Tintin, you know, he sort of goes back to that blockbuster family-esque film, then does the historical flicks. Look at 2015, Bridge of Spies, 2016, the BFG. So it's that back and forth. And like I said, he likes to work with his collaborators, like any other director. And for me, I really think of him as a technical in terms of he really wants to make a movie. He's not trying to do anything flashy like, you know, the Goodfellas or Paul Thomas Anderson. We talked about his sort of long takes, especially the one at the middle of Boogie Nights. It's like, it's almost a little showy, especially if you, some of the film fame, you know that, oh, that takes it's hard to do. Those one takes and all the preparation, you know that in the back of your head. So when you see a long take, you're like, oh wow, impressive, you know, bonus points almost. But Spielberg actually, what he does, there's a great video from Tony Zhu, I think, Every Frame of Painting. It's the Spielberg Oneer. And what he talks about is how Spielberg creates a scene using only one take, but he doesn't seem like it's one take. There's not a lot of camera movements, and there's not this epic sort of grand sprawling shot. It's very much just like a scene shot any other way, but it without cuts, so it doesn't want to jar you. It sort of wants to ease you into that world, and I think that's a great job. And that sort of reflects all of his filmmaking in terms of the technical side, in terms of being invisible. He doesn't want you to see the camera movements, the cinematography. He doesn't want you to feel like, oh, this is a movie, I can feel that. Even with stuff like Jurassic Park, he wants you to feel like you're in the middle of the action. You're really there, and really give that sense of magic and wonder, which I think he does in a lot of his blockbusters. I know even for the BFG, but of course movies like Jurassic Park and E.T. And Jaws, you know, the infamous story, like Jaws was so big that people weren't going to the water because they were afraid, and I know some people still won't go into the waters because of that movie. And you know, an incredible horror movie in that sense, which is another scenario where mistakes create magic, where the shark didn't work, so they couldn't use the shark as much, and that created even more suspense because you had to make it up in your mind. But then, like I said, with Jurassic Park and E.T., that sense of wonder, that sense of you being a kid. You know, kids like it because they're kids, but then even adults and teens, I think, can go and say, like, wow, this is what it feels like seeing it. When you saw the Jurassic Park dinosaurs coming, you're like, wow, with E.T. just coming and, you know, talking, he's like, wow, it's sort of, you know, we've never seen this before, and this new sense, a sense of wonderment. I think Spielberg does an incredible job of that, and I really respect him for that. And even still, for then on, I will see Spielberg movies. I haven't seen all of his movies, you know, I've missed stuff like 1941, but even stuff like Empire of the Sun, which are a little more risky, or War of the Worlds, which are a little less family-friendly in terms of, and really more risking it, I think they can be appreciating them in their own sense. and he doesn't really have, I think, a huge dud. Like I said, I haven't seen 1941, but maybe Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Sometimes it misses, but when you've had a career for over 40 years, there are going to be some misses, like the Coen Brothers, like Scorsese, just because they've done it for so long. And also, like I said, the incredible influences he's had over the years. Of course, people say like Kubrick is an incredible influence, and that's for more people, filmmakers who are really into that, but into the sort of the filmmaking process. But for a lot of people, I think he's influential, not necessarily in other directors. Of course, other directors, Hacksaw Ridge was obviously inspired by Saving Private Ryan and movies like that, but also influential to people. And really, when they think of movies, they think of Steven Spielberg, and that's an incredible task that he's been able to do. Now we're moving over into our best movie, which is Jurassic Park. Now let's talk a little bit about that 4-quadrant system, because I think that shows it best in Jurassic Park, and that's in terms of what studio execs, I believe, call 4 quadrants. So it's males under 25, males above 25, and then females under 25, and females over 25. So it's getting that male and female and almost all age groups. And I think Jurassic Park does that because it's an entertaining film. It's a scary movie for the kids, but it's an action movie for sort of the adult guys. Then there's also sort of like a family aspect for the moms. And I just like there's everything, I think everyone can get a sense of wonderment. And I think that's a collective experience, because what I think he really does well in Jurassic Park is he starts with the kids, almost in a sense, and builds from there. So, and I think Pixar movies and good animation movies do this really well, where they make it a kids movie and flashy and stuff like that, and colorful, so they'll like it, and they'll move up and be like a little more mature jokes, maybe a little more mature, then appreciating the structure, then putting an action in there and scariness, not too scary for necessarily the little kids, although I know some people were, but that action movie, in a sense, or a thriller. I mean, that's what Jurassic Park really is. It could be even considered a horror movie. It's like Jurassic Park is Jaws with dinosaurs, but it really has more of a sense of that E.T. in terms of that sense of wonderment. It's just an incredible book, but also he shows how he's such a great director, because he didn't write it, but he was able to take the visuals from the Michael Crichton book. And if you read the book, a lot of times from books to movies, it's like, oh, I had a character who thought this way. And a lot of times, though, if you don't think of that, the Jurassic Park movie is what you think of in the book, similar to The Martian. I love The Martian, but I read the book before the movie. But now when I read the book, and Mark Watney is Matt Damon, because I think Ridley Scott did an incredible job with The Martian, and Ridley Scott we will cover, of course, soon. Not necessarily soon, but eventually down the line, probably in 10s and 12s. But I think that's what happens with Jurassic Park for a lot of people, and I really think it creates that sense of magic more than any of his other films, really that magnum opus of that incredible excitement and wonder I've been talking about. And really an incredible sense of joy. And if we're talking about the actual characters of Jurassic Park, what I really liked about them is, of course, incredible performances from guys like Jeff Goldblum and Laura Dern. Those are two of my favorites. But also the fact that the characters are really complex. Now you take a look at them, and it's simple in terms of their motivations. You can tell who wants what goal in the end. But even the kids and all the characters are actually more complex if you look into them, and their motives sometimes could be muddy, and sort of like you put yourself into that movie. At least that's what I do. Like, what would I do in that situation? As a kid, and I saw the Velociraptors, this incredibly thrilling scene, one of the most thrilling scenes I think in all of movies. The Velociraptors and the kids sort of in the kitchen there and sort of creeping around. As a kid, I was like, maybe I'm going to be that so smart. I didn't think I'd be that smart now, but then I sort of, as a kid, I was like, yeah, I would hide. That's what I feel. But then now, as I watch it older, I'm sort of more connecting to maybe, a Jeff Goldblum character, because I don't have kids or whatnot. I just want to sort of, I'm interested in the dinosaurs. And then there's the old man, who I'm forgetting his name, unfortunately, who just really wants to study them. And he's not trying to kill everybody. There's no really sinister character. It's just like everyone's motives make sense. And there's not necessarily a villain, I would say, either. But then you have elements of the war movie, in a sense, where they're out there trying to kill it, and some people want to tame it. There's so much levels into it. I think it really packs it into Jurassic Park, and they explore it a little bit more in 2 and 3, and not really in World. I'm not really a fan of World, but I think Jurassic Park, is different than what World is, because World is a fun, silly movie, but it's stupid. It's also a stupid movie with stupid characters, and they don't make any sense, and it's frustrating. And I think a lot of people sort of recognize that, even if they turn off their brain, they're like, oh wow, this is really stupid. But I know a lot of people enjoy that movie. But Jurassic Park, I think that's what makes it interesting, because you have that sense of wonderment and that incredible sense of scale, and then groundbreaking visual effects, which still hold up today, which is incredible. But also you have that those characters that are so complex and interesting, and that's why I've always said having a great character and starting from there and then building from there is incredible. And really, this is not a lot of people think about it, but it really is an ensemble piece. Even with the two kids, I think they're part of it, and they do a great job with that. Okay, so now let's move over into my favorite, which will be Hook. And really, I know a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't hold up, yada yada, but I think what it did is an incredible job, because you had a kids movie for kids, and it hit me right at the right time. And I think that really succeeded, the kids movie, because now those kids are sort of grown up, and they said, yeah, I really like that movie. That worked because I really enjoyed it as a kid. So it obviously appealed to kids. So no matter what, if it didn't appeal to critics at that time, and I'm so glad I was a kid during that time, because well, first of all, Peter Pan was my favorite movie growing up. As a kid, I love pirates, and that's why I actually connected to Captain Hook. And I always found myself connecting to villains rather than heroes. And Captain Hook was my favorite villain, still is to this day. I still love Peter Pan, and really that's why I love Hook. So it was like almost like my favorite character is getting his own movie, and he's almost like you could understand his his motives played beautifully by Dustin Hoffman. And then you have Peter Pan and Robin Williams, who I think actually deal with some adult themes of like. He's grown up now. He said he never wanted to grow up, but now he's grown up and he's gone back to Neverland, and he has to do a lot with that. And even some of the character and the story parts don't work, but the set design and the characters I think are really emotional. And I think this movie's emotional to me more than E.T., more than Jurassic Park, more than Raiders of the Lost Ark, any of them. Really, because I have that connection because I was a kid and I was such a huge fan of Hook. But also because I think Robin Williams sells it incredibly, and you really buy it. And Rufio does an also incredible job at really just like sort of resenting Peter Pan at the beginning. So there's an interesting dynamic there, and I really like that movie. Like I said, it sort of gives me that nostalgia factor, but also I think that there's a lot of really great stuff in there. Maybe you say it doesn't hold up, but I still have those rose-colored glasses when I watch it, so that's why it's my favorite movie, and probably still will be my favorite movie. With another second place, which I could be considered his best, which is Saving Private Ryan, and it's incredible. I think a lot of people say the 15 minutes are great, first 15 minutes, and then they discard it after that. But I think that the stuff after that really delves into it and really gets to know these characters, and you really like it. And I know a lot of people get messed up at the bait and switch at the end, which I won't spoil if you haven't seen it, but I actually like that, and sort of keeps you on your toes, and you didn't sort of see it necessarily. It's not a twist ending per se, it doesn't ruin the movie. It's still an incredible movie, and really, I mean, like you felt like you were in World War II. People, veterans, were having sort of like some like PTSD in a sense because they saw this movie. It was just too real, almost like it's not really a footage, but it was like how it felt to be in there and in their shoes, and that's what he does an incredible job of transporting you into this world. And that's what I think really movies should do. Not blockbuster, but any movie is really transport you into that world and understand the characters. So anyways, guys, that's Steven Spielberg. Comment below, let me know what you think. Please give this episode a like, share it with your friends. Maybe if you're a Steven Spielberg guy is trying to learn more, I think you really got to start with Spielberg and then grow up from there, because he is really the main guy, the most influential guy. You learn more about him, and then you learn more about, say, Scorsese, and then you move on and on and on. You go to the Hitchcocks and the Kubricks, and then you go even further, sort of where I am right now. It's like the Danish Dogman style filmmaking, and the French New Wave and Italian neo-realism, all that sort of stuff. But anyways, guys, for all those reasons, that's why Steven Spielberg is a master of controlled chaos. I'm Connor Rold, and until next time, stay tuned.